conditions, around 260 kilometers an hour. You really can't see through the spray. And it gets tighter and tighter through 12, 13, and then down to the first gear, 14. These guys are supposed to be testing out these conditions. They're racing.
You've got to push to get heat in the tyres. If you don't have heat in the tyres in these conditions, it's very, very easy to crash out of the race. That looked like Petrucci getting up the inside of Zarco, so Danilo Petrucci's getting really, really aggressive on this first lap. It was Petrucci that picked up Zarco at turn 14. First lap then about to be completed. Lorenzo, the chief aggressor, off the line. Great launch and then really aggressive up the inside of Marquez and Vinales at the first corner. Lorenzo from Marquez, Dovizioso, Vinales, Crutchlow, Petrucci in 6th place. Then it's Miller, Zarco, Aleix Espargaro and Pirro, your top 10.
We ride with Marquez. This is where he went down in the wet warm-up this morning. They're through turn 3, up towards his double apex right, the Rio corner at turn 4. Marquez determined that Lorenzo is not going to get away. Dovizioso sizing things up nicely in 3rd place.
Yeah, Johan Zarco just struggling to find his rhythm at the start of this race. He's been picked off now by Jack Miller as well, so Miller's up into 7th place. Zarco was in 6th at the end of that first lap, but Petrucci and Miller have been able to relegate the Frenchman back to 8th place.
Down to turn 7, again we ride with Marquez into the tricky turn 8. Yeah, aggressive move by Lorenzo at the start. Marquez has a look and thinks and says no, far, far too early in the race. Let's just see how these conditions settle down a bit. As Dylan was saying, the rain has now stopped, so they shouldn't get worse, and it will be a long race.
Petrucci, I think, has just picked off Cal Crutchlow down in the turn number 9. Danilo Petrucci's flying as he got to drive out of Tremonto as well to sweep up the inside of Maverick Vinales through turn number 11. That would be an extremely brave move. He's not quite close enough through the corner on the circuit, but Petrucci, he said before this race, with no championship to think about, he can throw caution to the wind. The kitchen sink's coming here from Petrucci. He started this race in 8th place and he's already up inside that top 5.
Then there's Jack Miller running in 7th place, and we know how good he is in these conditions. There you go. There is Vinales. You just got Petrucci behind him. Glimpse there of Cal Crutchlow as well. Good battle, and Jack Miller behind them, and he just again got the glimpse of that number 5 through the spray. Of course, that is Johan Zarco. Look at these conditions. We ride with Vinales.
The drive that Petrucci got out of the final corner was unbelievable. Vinales will have the inside line, so he'll be able to keep Petrucci at bay, but the grunt of the Ducati, and he just rides around the outside of Vinales going through turn number 2. Petrucci has got great confidence. He's got great temperature already in those Michelin rain tyres, and he's started to attack now for the podium. Dovizioso next in his sights. Vinales back then to 5th.
I'll be quite happy, Vinales, to stick behind Petrucci for a bit. He's probably going to drag you along. Oh, moment there for Marquez.
Just a bit. Coming out of turn 5 as he squeezed the power back on. Out of the seat then for Marc Marquez. That's the first big warning sign then for the world champion. He said he was going to be careful thinking about the championship in this race. He does not want to take any crazy risks. He knows Jorge Lorenzo in front of him is not a championship contender. Here's the replay at turn 5. Yeah, big moment, big rear tyre slide for Marquez through turn 5. Got away with that one.
You're not going to get away with it all the time. Marquez has crashed out 3 times this weekend, including in the wet warm-up this morning. Lorenzo leads the way. Marquez, Dovizioso, Petrucci, Vinales, Crutchlow and Miller. And we have Zarco, Aleix Espargaro, Michele Pirro running in 10th place.
As we feared. Oh, Crutchlow, he had a massive moment on the front end as he came through turn. Cal Crutchlow did incredibly well to hang on to that LCR Honda there because he was nearly down the road.
He didn't lose any places either. Here they are down at turn 14, the first gear right. 2 left-handers coming up. Lorenzo's through the first one. That's where he crashed out in 2015. I remember Jorge Lorenzo into turn 16, the Mazzano corner when he crosses the line. 25 laps to go. We've only had 3 in these treacherous conditions.
Yeah, Lorenzo the only man in the 148s, although Petrucci also in the 148s. Lorenzo quickest man on track, 148.762. It's all bunching up a little bit behind Maverick Vinales. We heard from Valentino Rossi and Vinales earlier on this year. The Yamaha this year in the rain doesn't seem to have as good a grip or as good a feel as what it did in 2016. Rather, Rossi, remember, had some great rides in the rain last year, but not happy with the performance of the bike this year. And Vinales at the moment, he's struggling to go away with that top 4 in front of him.
It's a good battle for 5th place. Crutchlow closing up on Vinales. Jack Miller right on the rear wheel of Crutchlow. Crutchlow, of course, won in mixed conditions in the Czech Republic, that first Grand Prix victory, or just a couple of Grand Prix before that.
Yeah, Jack Miller. Oh, I thought
Miller nearly got up the inside there of Crutchlow, won in treacherous conditions in Assen.
You can see how much Crutchlow struggling for visibility, tucked in behind Maverick Vinales. On that run down through that fast kink at turn 7, Crutchlow was having to come up from out of the bubble because he just couldn't see where he was going behind the screen. He lifted his head out from behind the bubble way before the braking zone, and Crutchlow has another little twitch on the rear as well coming out of Tremonto. Cal Crutchlow, he's pushing really hard to try and find a way through on Maverick Vinales and just making a couple of mistakes in the process.
Well, that's how the championship positions would be. It's a long, long way to go. But Vinales doesn't really want to get Miller and Crutchlow past him as we stand at the moment. You start dropping into the over 20 points down. Early days. We've seen Jorge Lorenzo lead races before on the Ducati and then slip back with tyre wear. That's probably not going to happen today. This is Lorenzo at his best, isn't it?
Dovizioso and Petrucci are just starting to close in on Marquez. Oh, that scare that Marquez had at turn number 5. Might just see him having a couple of laps to gather his composure back in. So there's Petrucci in 4th place. He's now the fastest man in this race, a 1:48.550 from Petrucci. It's Miller up the inside. That's aggressive, but Crutchlow will have the inside line through turn number 2, so he will hold firm in 6th place.
Brave stuff there. It's slippery there. We've seen so many riders go down there. Riders also going down just coming into turn 4 in the braking zone, but they're all safely through. You can see the advantage that Jorge Lorenzo has got as they go through turn 6. It's a fair old advantage through the very fast turn 7.
So Petrucci's got Dovizioso. Petrucci's got the better drive coming out of turn 6, and he's got the inside line, the braking zone, so he's pushing Andrea Dovizioso back to 3rd place. Danilo Petrucci then into the podium places. Keep a very close eyes on Loris Baz on that Reale Vinci Ducati, the 2-year-old Ducati. Baz has just taken a Laser Spargo for 9th place.
Dovizioso closes up on the rear wheel of Petrucci. So Lorenzo, Marquez, Dovizioso, Petrucci. What is happening behind? Have they got past Maverick Vinales? Is he just holding them up a little bit?
You've got to feel sorry for Dani Pedrosa. We feared he might struggle getting heat into those Michelin rain tyres. He's currently circulating down in 20th place. Lorenzo's your race leader doing a 1:48.6. Dani Pedrosa's last time around a 1:54.1. He's over 5 seconds off the paces, Dani Pedrosa. It's almost painful to watch him suffer so much when he can't get heat in those Michelin rain tyres. Loris
Baz is flying. There he is coming up on the rear wheel there of Johan Zarco as Pirro starts to make a progress through. Pirro picked off a Laser Spargo very comfortably indeed.
Petrucci now trying to hunt down Vinales. Lorenzo's gone over the line and set another fastest lap of the race, a 1:48.0. Last time around, Lorenzo was 1.2 seconds quicker than Marc Marquez, and Petrucci, he thought about that on the flip-flop in turns 1 and 2. Petrucci, though, it's a matter of when, not if, he's going to sweep through on Marc Marquez. He's absolutely all over the rear wheel of Marc Marquez. Dylan.
Guys, sorry to butt in. Did you see Marc Marquez just gave a signal to his team off pit wall? He pushed his leg out. They are just getting his number 2 bike ready. I wonder whether that is maybe fitted with harder rain tyres. Keep an eye on that space. Wow.
We will wait and see.
Let's have a look. Yeah, we can see them getting ready. Is the foot coming out, or does his leg... Yeah, the foot comes out. So he obviously feels like he's got some kind of issue, because Dovizioso now drops back as well. Does he not feel that those soft rain tyres are going to go the whole race distance? I mean,
Petrucci is opening up a gap between the two of them. Can Petrucci close down that big gap we have at the front with Jorge Lorenzo? There is Lorenzo. We ride with the man that's won here 4 times previously. He's only been off the podium once. This is Petrucci, Rainmaster, Marquez and Dovizioso. Miller and Crutchlow have both got past Maverick Vinales, and Miller has got past Crutchlow.
Guys, I'm just going to keep speculating here. I reckon this is Marquez maybe telling his team, I think this track is going to dry out. All the second bikes are prepared for wet conditions, and he might be thinking, I might be needing slicks later on, so they are now just changing the bike around.
Well, he's the master tactician, isn't he, when it comes to flag-to-flag races, Marc Marquez. I think he won 5 of the last 6 flag-to-flag Grand Prix. He's such a clever thinker in these kind of conditions. He might look at it now, you can't believe it's going to get dry.
No, you can't.
Was there just a hint of a dry line as they came over the line? There's still a lot of spray being kicked up. There is a long way to go, 22 laps.
Just trying to see what tyre they are.
That was a rain tyre, because they'd have had his second bike fitted for with rain tyres, just in case he had a problem with the number 1 bike coming to the line or on the warm-up lap. So they're obviously trying to get it fitted up with slicks. I know Dylan's going to be basically pitching his tent now outside Repsol Honda just to make sure he doesn't miss a thing. Petrucci was in a little bit hot at
being
turn 4.
changed, springs being changed, everything.
Petrucci got in a little bit hot there at turn 4. Crutchlow's down. Cal Crutchlow had passed Maverick Vinales. That's a Ducati. That's a Ducati. That is a... It's Lorenzo. Oh. It's Lorenzo. I wasn't quite sure that it was Dovizioso or Lorenzo, but Lorenzo's crashed out of the lead. He just set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:47.807. There's going to be no fairy tale first Ducati win in Italy for Jorge Lorenzo, and Cal Crutchlow also down the road.
Guys, Maverick Vinales, there's also movement now in his box. It looks like the Yamaha is also being converted to dry.
Jorge Lorenzo walks away. He's won here 4 times. He's not going to win this time round. Let's have a look. Oh, what's a big crash for Jorge Lorenzo.
On the gas. Oh, you'd think it was on the gas coming. Number Cal Crutchlow has managed to rejoin the race. Lorenzo was pushing. There's no doubt about it. There's been a couple of laps lately where he's been over a second faster than the chasing pack behind him. So it now means that Danilo Petrucci is leading here in Misano for the Pramac Ducati team. Marquez hunting menacingly in second place. Dovizioso right there as well, still in third.
Well, the whole complexion of the race has changed in 1 lap, hasn't it? It appears that Crutchlow may be at the get, certainly in the top 3. Lorenzo running away at the front, and it is all changed around.
Sorry to butt in, guys. This has triggered off a bit of a chain reaction now. Danilo Petrucci's team also getting the carbon discs out and the slicks, and I do reckon this is now going to start happening across the entire grid, because it is not raining anymore and the sky is getting brighter.
Yeah, but there's 20 and a half.
There's so much water out there.
So much water out there.
Well, let's have a look at the lap times. Maverick Vinales' pole time was a 1:32.4. They're 16 seconds off of the pace that they were setting in qualifying yesterday. Here's Crutchlow's crash. What happened to the LCR Honda rider? This is through turn 2. Oh, he lost it going. Oh, chucked over the high side there. Cal Crutchlow going through turn number 3.
Lucio Cecchinello looked on. Team manager back at the front. Danilo Petrucci chasing that first ever Grand Prix victory. He was second at Silverstone. He was second at Assen this year, Silverstone a couple of years back, and he was third in Mugello. Loris Baz, these are the rain masters.
Oh, absolutely.
It out. Loris Baz, Jack Miller, both of them love the rain, and look at Baz, he's got up the inside.
He made that look easy. He made that look like Loris Baz was on a slick tyre, on a slick track with Jack Miller on a wet, although he did get in a little bit hot, Loris Baz, to be fair to him, and ran it a little bit wide, but he has got superb pace, Loris Baz. He was much quicker. Jack Miller was running a 1:52 last lap, so I think Miller might have made a mistake, because he dropped back behind Maverick Vinales, so Miller was obviously caught out by a mistake, but Loris Baz swarming all over him. This is your top 3. Petrucci from Marquez and from Andrea Dovizioso. So that is now going to be a full dry bike set up for Marc Marquez.
Absolutely brilliant spot, Dylan. See that
twitch by Petrucci there, as well as he came out of turn 16. You can see on the straight they're still kicking up an awful lot of spray.
I honestly don't think, but I suppose if these tyres are okay, why just not prepare for if there is an emergency at the end there? 5 points would be the gap in the championship. Do you know, I don't think Dovizioso would say that is the end of the world, do you?
No, not at all. Andrea Dovizioso, his first mission is to make sure he sees the checkered flag. He doesn't want to chuck away any crucial World Championship points. Don't think he'll take any credit. He's trying to hunt down Danilo Petrucci. It's Petrucci of this top 3 that can take all the risks. He's not fighting for the World Championship. He's trying to win his first ever Grand Prix. Talk about kudos as well, doing it here in Misano for Ducati.
19 and a half laps to go. They splashed their way through the puddles down towards turn 8.
A very quick word, guys. From the top 6 riders, okay, the only bikes that I've not seen being changed at all in pit lane are those of Jack Miller and Andrea Dovizioso. Now, when I checked beforehand, they all look like they were wet, but Dobby's bike is so covered up that I cannot tell if it is wet or dry. But Dobby's team is not reacting at the moment.
I've got to say, I'd be really surprised, but we've been surprised before, the way Marc Marquez performed in Bruno when he changed things.
Yeah, I mean, Mark,
we all thought he'd made a big mistake.
I guess he just wants them to be ready just in case that scenario comes for the last 2 or 3 laps. You know, if it does dry out in certain parts of the circuit, those rain tyres will get chewed up very, very quickly. I mean, Marquez on the last lap did his fastest lap of the race, a 1:48.7, but it's still a million miles away from the best times we saw on slick tyres yesterday.
Maverick Vinales still in 4th place. Miller, Baz, Pirro, Zarco, Barbara and Aleix Espargaro. Redding, Rins, Lowe's, good ride by Sam Lowe's in 13th place. Folger, Espargaro, Giannoni, Smith, Rabat, Batista, Pedrosa and Cal Crutchlow back in the race. And Carol Abraham actually back in the race as well.
Petrucci and Marquez last time around doing almost identical lap times, a 1:48.1 for the pair of them. Petrucci the marginally faster by about 0.06 of a second. Here's Maverick Vinales at the moment, still in 4th place, coming under real pressure from Jack Miller and Loris Baz. There's crucial World Championship points at stake there. Michele Pirro's also coming into contention too. Vinales was quite a lot slower last time around than Miller and Baz behind him too, so he's going to get swallowed up pretty quickly here as the Spaniard.
Yeah, and these are vital World Championship points at stake. And again, what do? Do you take risks or do you settle for the points? But that gap will open up a little bit on Vinales from the 2 men at the front, especially if they finish 1st, 2nd or 3rd.
Oh, Baz has gone down. Loris Baz has gone down. His hopes have ended then. Baz down at turn number 8. He charged through from 15th place on the grid, but it's game over for Loris Baz. He won't be getting anywhere near close to equaling that brilliant 4th place he had here a couple of years ago in that flag-to-flag race.
Coming into turn 8, just dips in a little bit, loses the front end of the Ducati. Loris Baz's race is not over, but any chance he had of picking up a lot of points or even fighting anywhere near the podium have disappeared. Back at the front, Petrucci still leads the way from Marquez.
One less for Maverick Vinales to worry about now, with Loris Baz out of contention for that 4th place. Looks like Dovizioso just being dropped here ever so slightly by Petrucci and Marquez. Loris Baz has rejoined the race.
Well, Danilo Petrucci, nobody will forget Silverstone a couple of years ago when he was so close to beating Valentino Rossi in the wet conditions.
Yeah, they're still doing 1:48s, even though we've not got any more rain. The track not really drying up to improve the lap times that significantly. You can see a stream of water there as well running across the track in between turn 2 and 3.
And I think, guys, that's the reason why Dobby's team hasn't reacted. I've just double-checked again, and so his second bike is definitely not set up for the dry.
Through turn 4 they come. Oh, another little wiggle there from Marc Marquez as they come through this fast 6. It's cut out a lot of riders through the kink 7, down into 8 where we saw Loris Baz go down on the last lap.
Yeah, Loris Baz did remount. Andrea Dovizioso not making any big inroads into this lead 2. He's 1.5 seconds behind Petrucci, 1.2 seconds behind Dovizioso. This is another moment smaller than what he had earlier in the race, but a couple of warnings for Marquez as he gets on the gas coming out of turn number 5.
Back at the front, Petrucci still leads the way through the Tremonti corner up towards Cavoni. This flat out right-hander. There is Dovizioso, comfortable in 3rd place, elected to use the aerodynamic fairing once the rain started to pour down on the circuit this morning. Throughout the practice sessions in the dry, he used the old fairing. Did well, he qualified in the middle of that front row of the grid.
Yeah, Dovizioso, you know what he's going to be doing right now. He's just going to be in studious mode, studying exactly what Petrucci and Marquez are doing. He's the thinking man's rider. He'll be calculating the grip levels. We know even in the wet conditions, Andrea Dovizioso, such a smooth rider. He'll be trying not to maybe burn up too much of his rear tyre while he's trying to hang into this battle between Petrucci and Marquez to maybe mount a stronger challenge a little bit later on. There's still such a long way to go, 17 laps to go in actual fact. There's Marquez's second bike then, fitted with those slick tyres.
Is it a I don't know.
I just don't think it's going to dry up.
No, is it a game to unsettle the other teams?
I totally understand why they're doing it, because he wants to be ready in case it does dry up. But right now you can't see it being the case. I mean, nobody as yet has been able to fire in a 1:47 for quite some time. Lorenzo was able to do that, but getting to that pace, he crashed out straight away. Dylan?
Yeah, of course, one of the dangers is, a bit like Loris Baz, he's remounted. If he wanted to come in now because something like a foot peg was broken, well, his second bike is now set up for the dry.
That's exactly right, Dylan. It's a gamble. Pramac Ducati look on anxiously. Their man leads the way. Maverick Vinales in 4th place. As he stand at the moment, I think he'd have to settle for that. He doesn't want to be picked off, certainly by Jack Miller or Michele Pirro, to go further down the field and drop further back of that leading duo in the championship. Just got a glimpse of Miller and Pirro. 16.5 laps to go here. It's not raining anymore, but the track is still very wet indeed.
Yeah, Vinales just set his fastest lap of the race, just to give himself a bit of breathing space between Miller and Pirro, who were hunting him down. Be good for Andrea Dovizioso's championship challenge if Pirro can get ahead of Maverick Vinales.
That's quite a big ask, but Pirro knows his way around here very well indeed. There he is, you just saw him, the test rider for Ducati. Dovizioso was singing his praises yesterday. Just behind Jack Miller. He is a former Grand Prix winner, he's a Moto2 winner. Michele Pirro back at the front. Not a lot's changed, does it?
No, and they're still in the
settled into a rhythm, haven't we?
Still in the 148s, so they're not really significantly lowering their lap times. Petrucci, yeah, Jack Miller put in a lap as well. He's not letting Maverick Vinales having all his own way in that 4th place. Miller just put in his personal best lap of the race, a 148.357. The gap between Vinales and Miller just hovering over 0.3 of a second. Hector Barbera's crashed out of this Grand Prix, so the two Vinci Ducatis have had a bit of a nightmare. He's taken a bit of a whack on his right hip as well there, Hector Barbera.
Limps away, Hector Barbera. What is his future? The future, oh, that is a big old crash for Hector Barbera.
Yeah, final corner.
That final corner. Petrucci still leads the way. Comes through turn 8 up towards the double apex right that brings them onto the back straight. Certainly the conditions are a lot better, but certainly there's an awful lot of spray out there. That is the gap as they come up towards the Cavoni corner halfway through the lap. So 15.5 laps remaining. We're not even at half distance yet.
Yeah, I suppose you could argue that while it's not raining, there's no extra water falling while the riders are running around this course, it is going to be dispersing water off that racing line, drying it up reasonably quickly. Although you can see from Alex Rins and Sam Lowe's in the background, there's still a fair bit of spray being kicked up as you sweep through Cavone.
Yeah, 10th for Alex Rins and 11th for Sam Lowe's. And here is Johan Zarco. Perhaps, well, he's running in 7th place, but he's a little bit back from the battle between Vinales, Miller and Pirro.
Yeah, I thought we might have seen a little bit more from Scott Redding. He's normally very adept in these conditions. He's running inside the top 10, which is pretty respectable when you think he's come from 19th on the grid, but there's been a few crashes out in front of him. He's trying to hunt down Johan Zarco. Vinales again got into a decent rhythm now. Maverick Vinales just set another personal best lap of the race, a 148.425. Not giving Jack Miller a chance to show him a front wheel as yet. Zarco also flying, he's just done a 149.0. That's his best lap of the race too.
Well, as we said, we're not even at half distance, and riders now, fully aware of how the conditions are probably realising as we stand at the moment they're not going to get any worse. They're just pushing on a little bit more. Yeah, Vinales, I don't think he's not going to catch the 3 at the front unless there was an extraordinary change of fortune. But his job now is to hang on to 4th place and those precious points.
It's hard to gauge as well just how fast this Misano circuit dries. It got resurfaced a couple of years ago in 2015, and since then we've had very, very little wet track time. So there's not a lot of experience for the teams and riders to base their judgments on in terms of, well, give it another 5 or 6 laps and it probably will start drying up very, very quickly. That's also adding to the conundrum.
Bradley Smith getting up the inside of his teammate Pol Espargaro. That would do his confidence a little bit of good. And it's Andrea Iannone in front of the 2 KTM riders. And that's Smith moving up into 14th place. Important move for that in his
really
future.
Important move, yeah. Bradley Smith has seemingly been a little bit vulnerable. Big race coming up in 2 weeks' time for him, with Mika Kallio rejoining the KTM team as a wild card in Aragon. Scott Redding has picked up another place. He's ahead of Aleix Espargaro up into 8th. Here's Danny Pedrosa, who's having a real nightmare. He's doing 153s, which is over 5 seconds off of the best pace. Oh, Aleix Espargaro's gone down as well.
So Aleix Espargaro down, he was running in 9th place. just pushes well, obviously it does, but just pushes those guys up who are soldiering on behind him to pick up some really important points.
Next pushed his teammate Sam Lowes up into the top 10, which would be Sam Lowes' first top 10 finish of the season. In fact, it would only be his second point scoring ride of a pretty troubled 2017. Of course, we know Sam Lowes heading back to Moto2 next year, pretty much as you were at the front between Petrucci, Marquez and Dovizioso.
They're all certainly Marquez and definitely Dovizioso, guys that have just worked this situation out. Petrucci, is quite hard for him, isn't it, running at the front with these two guys behind him, but yeah, he's very, very accomplished in these conditions. He's obviously not quite sure what they've got left in the tank. We're not sure what he's got left in the tank. Yeah, dry setup. Well done, Dylan. Brilliant spot.
So Petrucci then now through Cavone on lap 15. We're halfway through this Misano Grand Prix.
So how hard, when it comes to when it comes down to the nitty gritty, are Marquez and Dovizioso going to push with so many important points at stake?
They're MotoGP riders, aren't they?
Yeah, they're still with a wet setup, Andrea Dovizioso.
Well, you think Ducati would have the local knowledge, wouldn't you, in terms of understanding the track conditions?
Yeah, this is as you were at the moment. This is just a formation flying. They are just sussing out the conditions, just how hard they can push, working out in their heads as well.
Marquez had another twitch.
He's had 3 moments now, and it's going to make him think, isn't it?
Turn 2. Again, another twitch. It drops him back right into the clutches of Dovizioso, who's picking up his pace. Andrea Dovizioso, last time around at 1:48.019 was his fastest lap of the race. Maverick Vinales again improves down to 1:48.3. Yeah, that's the 3rd time Marquez has had that rear tyre sliding and slipping like a snake underneath him.
And even if you're Marc Marquez, you can't keep doing it, can you? In these conditions, you will go down in the end.
Yeah, Dovizioso looks pretty threatening now in that 3rd place. He's got down to a low 1:48 last time around.
We ride with Marquez, sorry, with Dovizioso. So there is Marquez in front of him. Yeah, he does look comfortable behind him at the moment.
Got to say, Vinales is doing an outstanding job of holding off Miller and Pirro. Miller's now dropped 6/10 off Sam Lowes, who was heading for his first top 10. Well, he's down at turn 4, and that's his 5th crash of the weekend, so a bad home Grand Prix for the Factory Aprilia team, with Aleix Espargaro out of the race and Sam Lowes. Here we are at turn number 4.
Oh, that's desperate for poor old Sam Lowes. His confidence is 0. He's out of the team at the end of the season. He's having a great ride, and he's crashed out again. All you can do is really feel great sorrow for him, can't you?
Yeah, it didn't really look like he was pushing too aggressively, did it? Really, didn't. Sam Lowes, one of those mistakes that you get caught out very easily on these rapidly changing track conditions. Petrucci then to chalk another one off the list. Lap 17 underway. Just under half a second he is clear of Marc Marquez. Dovizioso still looking a big threat there in 3rd place. Almost identical lap times for them last time around. 1:48.5 from Petrucci, 1:48.6 from Dovizioso, and a 1:48.7 from Marquez.
So I compare them, we ride with Marc Marquez. Right in his face, as you can see, is the Ducati of Andrea Dovizioso. Closes right up on him. Through turn 4. And then there's this fast turn 6, and it's cut out a lot of riders here. And then your race is not really the back straight, there's a little kink in the middle, as you will see, to put them off in any way at all. But then it sucks you in, it just drops into the left-hander here. Brilliant onboard stuff. We're riding with Marquez. Dovizioso is just looking comfortable behind him as they come into the Tramonto curve that leads onto that back straight.
I've got to say, there are some parts of the track that look like they are drying up fairly quickly.
Well, Yamaha have now pushed Vinales' bike into position. They are now possibly expecting it.
11.5 to go. Just getting me to really look hard now. Here is Maverick Vinales. He's done a really good job in 4th place, Maverick Vinales, because he hasn't let... He knows if Jack Miller gets near him, he'll be all over him, won't he? But he hasn't let him do that, and he knows how good Jack Miller is in the wet.
He doesn't want to be losing more World Championship points, does he, Maverick Vinales? These two are great mates. They used to share a motorhome when they first came to MotoGP. That was a short-lived experiment, I think Maverick wanted to get a bit more sleep at night.
I think poor old Maverick, he liked it in the week, but race weekend he found a bit difficult.
There's absolutely nothing between the top three again over the line. Hundreds of seconds splitting them as they cross the line to start lap number 18. Just half a second covering that top three. Michele Pirro just struggling to run the pace of Miller and Vinales in front of him. He's dropped back over a second behind those two, although he's upped his own pace, and Miller has dropped into the 147s. The only other rider we've seen so far in this race that was in the 147s was our early leader Jorge Lorenzo, who of course crashed right here, high-siding out of the lead at turn 6.
Down through turn 7 they come towards 8. 10.5 laps to go. The fuse has been lit, but this race has not exploded just yet. It will, or will it? Because perhaps Marquez and Dovizioso will say we're taking no risk. There's too big a risk.
Andrea Iannoni's in.
Andrea Iannoni in. It's like problems with the Suzuki for Iannoni. Or is he? I'm sure he's not coming in to change tyres now.
No, everybody was keeping a real good look though at Andrea Iannoni. Yeah, problems for that just sums up an absolutely shocking weekend for Andrea Iannoni. His 21st place on the grid was his worst qualifying since Valencia way back in 2011 when he was in the Moto2 World Championship. He said he's never felt so slow. It's tough to watch Andrea Iannoni struggling so much on that factory Suzuki right now.
This is Zarco running in 7th place. Just behind him you saw Scott Redding. Coming into view, the man that's won here twice, Alex Rins, Moto3 winner, 2 occasions. Then it's Folger, and it's Smith, Paul Espargaro, Rabat Batista, and then Loris Paz has got back in the points in 15th place.
So Marquez then has dipped into the 147s, personal best lap of the race from the World Championship, or the reigning World Champion.
It's just burning, isn't it? It's just gently
slow
simmering.
boil right
That's
now,
right.
Is it simmering?
But will it explode? I cannot believe that Marquez will not try and win the race. Dovizioso will want to win it, but Dovizioso may feel, well, if it's a 3rd or even a 2nd place, that will do very nicely as far as the championship goes. When we arrive in Aragon in 2 weeks' time, hopefully the weather will be an awful lot better.
Petrucci's doing an outstanding job at the front of this race. It's not easy when you keep coming over the line and seeing +4 or +0.4, 93. He knows Marc Marquez is right there with him as Andrea Iannoni starts the post-race investigation into why he's had to withdraw on that factory Suzuki.
At the front, into Tremonte, far end of the circuit, 9.5 to go.
Sorry guys, just getting word from the Suzuki box. It's actually an arm pump problem for Iannoni.
Many thanks, Dinner. Loris Paz has crashed for the 2nd time. So that point he was going to pick up in 15th place has now disappeared.
Yeah, and there's Petrucci. Looks like he's stretched out a couple of tenths here on Marc Marquez on this lap number 19. Yeah, 2 crashes for Loris Paz then. Tough for him to take when he would have expected a chance to have fought inside that top 6. He was charging through the field, but going to struggle to now get in the point scoring places.
You're so right, Matt. It's a great ride by Petrucci. He's never won a Grand Prix. He's run at the front, what, for 3/4 of this race now. He's got 2 of the great riders behind him. He's riding a very solid race at the front.
Don't want to be commentator's curse, but so far he's been immaculate. He has not got his wheels out of line. In fact, he's just come over the line and set his own personal best lap of the race. A 1:48 flat from Petrucci.
Perhaps he can feel now he may be just to push them a little bit hard behind. We've seen, what, 3 moments for Marc Marquez, and he knows that Dovizioso is leading the championship. He puts the hammer down now with just under 9 laps to go. He may be able to open up the advantage.
Oh, Pirro
is closing up now on Miller. Miller's in trouble. Pirro is through.
Yeah, Jack Miller. He was wide at turn 4, he obviously was, because Pirro's swept on through. What's the gap between Vinales and Pirro? Almost 3 seconds. That's quite a big gap to bridge. Miller thinks about a fight up the inside again of Pirro down at turn number 8. Although it hasn't rained for a while, the track's sort of remained in a stagnant condition, hasn't it? The lap times haven't improved at all. We've seen sort of deviations over the last sort of 10 laps of only 3, 4, 5 tenths of a second. So it's not improved to the extent that we might have anticipated.
These are two riders chasing for a single World Championship point.
And
Danny Pedrosa and Cal Crutchlow.
How humbling is that for Danny Pedrosa? Cal Crutchlow's crashed. Cal Crutchlow's crashed in this race, and he's still been able to remount and find his way through back on Danny Pedrosa. Pretty humbling experience for Pedrosa, that one.
Just when Petrucci perhaps thinks he's opening up at a bit of an advantage, it's closed up again a bit, and it's pretty standard stuff at the moment. Just over 8 laps to go. So cross the line. It will be 8 to go when they do cross the line. They've done that now.
Petrucci's really running a fantastic race. He's just put in the fastest lap of the race, a 1:47.697. Immediately followed by 1:47 from the two men leading the chasing pack, Marquez and Dovizioso. He can't break away from the two championship contenders behind him.
Great shot. It's still pretty wet out there, isn't it, as you can see. So good look at Marquez.
It's all going to come down to the risk-reward ratio for these two men in your picture right now, Marquez and Dovizioso. How much are they willing to gamble? How much are they willing to put on the line to try and defeat Danilo Petrucci? Petrucci's not in the championship picture at all. They don't have to worry about him in terms of fighting his way back in the championship contention, but trying to beat him means it's going to be increasing the risk levels. Will they roll the dice and go for it?
It's a difficult one. 7.5 laps to go. Tension in the Pramac Ducati garage. Danilo Petrucci chasing his first win. He's had a 3rd place this year in Mugello at the Italian Grand Prix, 2nd in Assen, 2nd a couple of years back at Silverstone in England. He's never going to get a better chance than this to win a Grand Prix race.
Would be a fantastic victory as well for Petrucci. He had to climb off his sick bed on Friday morning just to jump on that Pramac Ducati. Hardly got any sleep at all on Thursday night. He's been struggling with a flu bug for most of this week. Oh, Tito Rabat's gone down the road, so Tito Rabat's out of this race. Another one to perish in these tricky conditions.
Tito Rabat walks away, as have many others. The main one, Jorge Lorenzo, when he was leading the race quite comfortably, went down on the Ducati.
Turn 6, pretty much exactly the same crash that happened to his fellow Spanish rider Jorge Lorenzo when Lorenzo was leading. Marquez now has set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:47.549. Now the last time around, Petrucci and Marquez took half a second out of Andrea Dovizioso.
Marquez, is he sizing him up? 5:49 as Matt said. 6.5 laps to go. The difference of 5 points, isn't it? You know, you get 25 for a win and 20 for a second.
Marquez is just leaving it all out there, isn't he? He's laying everything on the table here. Dovizioso, I don't know whether Dovizioso is running out of grip or whether he's just going, putting the shutters down for the winter here, whether he's just settling for those crucial 16 points. We know that Marquez, he's got that cavalier approach sometimes. He's going to go for it, isn't he?
Do you know, I think he is, and I think perhaps Dovizioso is going to say, right, let them go for it, I'll take the points. This is Maverick Viñales. You look back and you say, well, 4th place couldn't have been a great run. I think he's ridden quite brilliantly in these conditions. He really settled into it, hasn't he?
Yeah, he never gave Miller or Pirro a chance at showing him their front wheel, and now he's a pretty comfortable 2.6 seconds clear of Pirro in that 4th place. Be another great ride by Michele Pirro to take a 5th spot, and he's pulled away quite comfortably from Jack Miller actually. 1.4 seconds the gap now between Pirro and Miller in 5th and 6th.
The time is not running out, but it's getting closer and closer, because when they cross the line there will be 6 laps to go of this round 13 of the MotoGP World Championship. Here is the championship leader, and even if Marquez wins the race, Dovizioso will still lead the championship. Danilo Petrucci at the front wants to win his first Grand Prix, and he will do absolutely everything to prevent Marquez winning this race.
Well, and he keeps showing whatever Marquez has got, he retaliates and some. He's just set the fastest lap of the race, so 1:47.537. Andrea Dovizioso, I think, is out of this in terms of the victory challenge. We're on board with Petrucci then through turn 5 now. Marquez won't let him go though, with the gap just under half a second. Dovizioso's dropped 2.2. Oh, Petrucci, a warning as he came through turn 6. He was littered out of the seats, he got on the gas, a bit of a rear tyre slide for Petrucci. That's the first real mistake we've seen him make. It wasn't a small mistake, eerie me, speedway style for Petrucci. First mistake he's made.
If ever Marquez wanted to make his mind up, that could be the moment for Marc Marquez. He thinks, right, I'm going to have a go at Gigi Dall'Igna.
Gigi Dall'Igna's got a few more.
I can say
more grey hairs.
He can't get a lot more.
That was speedway style by Petrucci. Yeah, Dovizioso's hopes of a victory here in Misano are gone. It looks like if the Ducati are going to take a first win in 10 years here in Misano, Casey Stoner, their last victor in Misano back in 2007, it looks all down to Danilo Petrucci now.
Boy, Lorenzo was leading the race and he crashed out at turn 6. Looks on.
Yeah, he's perfectly okay, but he's not going to be a happy spectator watching this. This is on board with Lorenzo. He's coming through turn 5. His race is going to last one more corner more. Oh, that's a big old crash, wasn't it, for Lorenzo? Fine margins, aren't they? Lorenzo has a moment in turn 6 and gets flown to the scenery. Danilo Petrucci has one and just plumps back in the seat. Marquez is really seriously stalking Petrucci now, isn't he?
5 laps to go. Classic race in treacherous conditions. Petrucci chasing that first Grand Prix win. Marquez chasing his 4th Grand Prix win of the season to close the gap on Dovizioso, who seems to have settled for 3rd place in the championship.
What happens if Marquez takes Petrucci? We go to Aragon, level on points with Dovizioso. The gap's 9 points, is it, between the two of them?
It is, and that's
they'll go level on points.
Yeah. Wow.
Petrucci's going to have a big part to say in that, though, in these final 4.5 laps here in Misano. He's withstood everything that Marc Marquez has had to throw at him so far, but you know Marc Marquez, there's still more to come.
Through turn 8 they come. 4.5 laps to go, down towards the Tremonte curve. It's a right-hander that leads onto the back straight. Petrucci has done all the donkey work at the front in the rain, although sometimes in the rain, certainly in the early stages of the race, it's probably the best place to be in the spray. Now it is a lot better. Andrea Dovizioso, you get the feeling he feels right. Precious points. And that would do me in 3rd place. He's won the last 2 races. To finish on the podium again, I think will be a decent job done.
Yeah, just wondering whether Dovizioso might just be struggling for grip now as the track does dry out by a fraction every single lap. I think, yeah, he's definitely gone into safety mode now, Dovizioso. Make sure he takes those crucial 16 points. He'll be focusing ahead because he knows if Petrucci wins his first ever Grand Prix in famous fashion, then Dovizioso will still go to Aragon and lead the World Championship. He knows as well if Marquez sneaks through, and it's all square going to Aragon.
And both on 4 Grand Prix wins as well. Then you're looking at, aren't you, 2nd place.
Podium or something, yeah.
That's right. Won't really matter, will it?
I've got to say, though, hats off to Marc Marquez because he doesn't need to... Petrucci's not his championship rival. He's desperate to win this Grand Prix, isn't he, Marc Marquez? Yeah. He's giving his all, despite the risk. I mean, a DNF here for Marc Marquez is going to be catastrophic for his championship chances, but he's laying it all out there now.
I think this is the only way he really knows how to ride a
absolutely.
motorcycle.
Well, if he doesn't push, he crashes, doesn't he?
Yeah,
if he loses focus, if he loses concentration, that's when the mistakes start to creep in. You've got to keep your absolute razor edge best. And I've got to say as well, despite all the pressure, and there is severe pressure coming from Marc Marquez, who's one of the fastest and most aggressive riders in World Championship history, the job that Petrucci has done, not to give him a sniff of taking the lead, has been absolutely phenomenal.
Through the Tremonte curve, 3.5 laps to go here in Misano. The rain has stopped, the track is still wet. We ride with the Pramac Ducati rider through the Curvoni corner. Let's have a look what sort of speed they're going through that today. About 220, 230 kilometres an hour. Now you're going, gets tighter and tighter through these series of right-handers before you come to the first gear right-hander at turn 14. Marquez closes up on the brakes. 2 left-handers to come, turn 15. And now turn 16, the Misano corner, into the start and finish straight when they cross the line, 3 to go.
Pramac Ducati and Danilo Petrucci were absolutely ecstatic when he was on the podium in Mugello. Imagine if he wins now here in Italy. Yeah. An even shorter pressure release that time. That was a pretty short pressure release when they took that 3rd place. Marquez is closing, isn't he? That's as close as he's been for a number of laps. He's under 0.2 of a second behind Petrucci. He's stalked his prey for a number of laps now, Marc Marquez. Is he about to go in for the kill?
So Loris Bassage crashed twice. They've just passed. It's lapped. Marquez right on the rear wheel now of Danilo Petrucci. Coming through turn 6. We've seen Lorenzo go down here. We've seen Rabat go down here. They're both safely through. Petrucci had a big moment here a couple of laps ago. Through the Little King, turn 7, down to 8.
This is a real test of Petrucci's mettle now. Through 8, 2.5 laps to go. Marquez continues to keep the hammer down. Will not give Petrucci 1 millisecond to relax at the front of this race. Closes up then now into the top end of the circuit. Tramonto turn 10 as they'll start firing that Ducati and Honda down the long back straight towards Cavoni corner.
Is he now thinking about the championship in any way, or is it all one thought, I'm going to win the race?
I think when he's this close with 2.5 laps to go, the championship's probably occupying about 3% of his brain right now. The rest is 97% gung-ho going for the win.
Marquez once again closes up on the brakes as they come down to turn 14. The last of the right-handers. Up through 15 and 16.
Petrucci looks like he's definitely got a little bit of an advantage in terms of drive grip coming out of the corners. Then Marquez closes up a lot on the brakes. The sort of concertina effect.
Through 16, across the line. 2 laps to go here at Mazzano. Can Danilo Petrucci win his first Grand Prix? Can Marc Marquez go to Aragon in 2 weeks' time, equal on points with Andrea Dovizioso? We are going to find out any moment now. Here comes Marquez.
He's going to attack. He's going to attack. There's no doubt about it. If he can get close enough, it's Marc Marquez. Of course, he's going to attack. Cash your minds back to the Red Bull ring. Petrucci runs a pretty tight defensive line through turn number 4. He will be able to hear Marc Marquez's Repsol Honda breathing all over his neck. We know Marquez is going to attack. Look what happened at the Red Bull ring when he lunged up the inside of Dovizioso at the final corner. A really ambitious move. He's going to strike. Is he close enough to attack at turn 8 on the brakes? No, he's not.
No, takes the outside line, get good drive out, though, won't he, Marc Marquez?
He will. Petrucci is just riding so defensively. Cut it tight to the inside at turn 4. He cut it tight as well on the inside at turn number 8. Just slamming the door shut on Marc Marquez.
What about turn 14 when they brake that tight first gear right-hander? Can Marquez be close enough? They come onto the back straight. 1.5 laps to go. Petrucci's so close to that first ever Grand Prix victory, but Marquez is closing all the time through 12, through 13, coming up to 14.
He's not going to be close enough. Here they come then through 13, although he does really close up Marc Marquez. He's not tight enough though to Petrucci. He's getting a real good look here though to assess Petrucci's strengths and weaknesses. Through turn 15 on the penultimate lap. Just 1 lap and 1 corner to go then for Petrucci and Marquez. Will Marquez sweep to the inside this time around? No, he won't. Petrucci, though, will be hearing him like a clap of thunder in his ears now.
We ride with Danilo Petrucci. Marc Marquez in his face. Here comes Marquez up the inside on the brakes. They break into turn 1. Marc Marquez takes the lead on the last lap.
Marc Marquez then hits the front for the first time. Can he hold off Petrucci through turn 2? Right then now through turn 3. What has Petrucci got in response? Turn 4 coming up now. Petrucci, can he have a look up the inside of Marquez? He thinks about it, but no, he's not quite close enough. Marquez holds firm.
Up at turn 4, double apex. Right, Marquez is running a little bit wide, but Petrucci follows him as well.
Go on, look like
through the very fast turn 6, it looked like both drifting.
Oh, like Petrucci took the front going into turn number 4. Did that cost Danilo Petrucci? Marc Marquez then, he'll run that tight defensive line down into turn number 8. Petrucci, I think he took the front, had a big moment on the front end going through turn number 4. That might have been costly. Petrucci desperately trying to cling on to Marc Marquez, but Marc Marquez now coming up to turns 9 and 10. His advantage probably around 0.4 of a second.
I think it's enough. Through the Tremonte curve they come. Accelerate up into 6th gear. Well over 250 kilometres an hour. Marquez for the first time leads the race. I think poor old Petrucci, who's done all the donkey work at the front, is going to have to settle for 2nd place.
It's going to need a massive mistake now by Marc Marquez to bring Petrucci back into contention. Marquez has surely got this one covered. He leads by 0.4 of a second, runs a really tight defensive line through turn number 14. Petrucci's not going to be close enough. Marquez surely's got this one in his hand. We're going to be going to Aragon with the World Championship tied, level on points. Marc Marquez and Andrea Dovizioso, 1 corner to go. He does not get any closer than this in the MotoGP World Championship.
Marc Marquez, last corner, crosses the line. They're equal on points as he wins here in Misano with Dovizioso finishing in third place. What
Marquez,
a last lap.
Fastest lap of the race on the last lap, a 47.0. Unbelievable by Marc Marquez. Andrea Dovizioso takes the podium finish for the first time here in Misano. We go to Aragon with Marc Marquez and Andrea Dovizioso tied at the top of the championship on 199 points. A last lap from the gods by Marc Marquez. That was incredible. He was 1.2 seconds faster than Danilo Petrucci. One of the best last laps, one of the best wins of his Grand Prix career.
Absolutely superb. Vinales 4, Pirro 5, Miller 6, Redding 7, Rins in 8th place. 9th, we expect Johan Zarco to cross the line. Danilo Petrucci, what a ride, what a disappointment for Petrucci.
What's happened to Johan Zarco? Has he had a problem on the last lap?
He could well
he clashed, yeah. Zarco had a tumble. Look at that. The fastest lap of the race on the last lap, 1:47.0. He absolutely pulverised everybody on that last lap. Petrucci in second, 1.2 seconds back. Dovizioso was 2.4 seconds slower. Zarco's having to push his bike over the line.
It's like a finish of the TT races in the Isle of Man, isn't it? You have to push your bike over there. Poor old Johan Zarco. Scott Redding in 7th place. Alex Rins 8th. 9th, Jonas Folger. And 10th for Bradley Smith in front of his teammate Paul Espargaro and Alvaro Bautista in 12th. Zarco as Bautista and Crutchlow crossed on. He's still going to... No, Pedrosa's gone through. Can he pick up a point? Is he going to pick up a point? He is in 15th place. He crosses the line. No.
He's absolutely shattered, isn't he, Johan Zarco? The legs are going like one of those marathon runners, isn't he? When their legs go, they're just about to cross the finish line.
No, Baz has gone through and Abraham's gone through, but I think Zarco... He's done it. He's picked up a single World Championship point, I think. Yes, he has. Oh, what a brilliant way to pick up a point, but what a last lap.
Unbelievable.
Marc Marquez. Well done, Johan Zarco.
He is absolutely exhausted.
No backflips, I don't think, today for Johan Zarco.
I don't think he could do a forward roll now.
That was superb from Marquez.
Oh, absolutely brilliant.
Oh, what a great race. You turn up every Sunday and you just do not know what is going to happen, do you?
So much to gain in winning that race, but of course when you take the risk like Marquez does, you've got so much to lose in terms of the championship. Marc Marquez, that last lap was breathtaking. 1:47.0, and there you go, confirmation on your screens. We head to Aragon, 5 races to go. Marc Marquez and Andrea Dovizioso locked together on 199 points. I think we might be having a final round decider in Valencia in a few weeks' time.
It certainly appears to be the case. Valentino Rossi's we saw on the television earlier, well, we saw the social media pictures, watching with his cat. He'd have been cheering for Danilo Petrucci, I think. Well, poor old Danilo Petrucci. He's going to talk to Dylan in a minute. Absolutely superb ride. He deserved to win, didn't he? He'd done all the hard work for everybody. But that's MotoGP for you.
He had nothing though, did he, for Marc Marquez? I don't think anybody in the world, to be fair, would have had anything for Marc Marquez. They're still absolutely ecstatic. Crew chief Daniele Romagnoli looks on. Marc Marquez.
I don't think anybody would have lived with Marquez on that last lap.
No, absolutely awesome. Fantastic performance.
Oh. Well, I'll be honest with you, I didn't know what to expect before 28 laps in those treacherous conditions. Once again, we've been treated to an absolute brilliant race and a masterclass by this man. Yeah. Surely one of the greatest motorcycle races we've ever seen, and I don't say that blandly.
Yeah, and you can just tell, Nick, by the way he's celebrating. He knows, look, I mean, Marc Marquez, he's a pretty animated catch. You can hear him there roaring under his helmet. Yeah. He knows that victory was absolutely massive in terms of the World Championship. I haven't seen him celebrate a win like this for quite some time.
And I think he'd say that's one of my greatest ever victories. Well done, Maverick Vinales. Okay, you're off the podium, but you picked up some really decent points in which was always going to be a difficult race for the man who started from pole position. Yeah,
the worry for Vinales and Yamaha is he was 16.5 seconds behind the race winner, so Yamaha losing about 3-4 tenths a lap in the rain conditions. Definitely work to do for Yamaha in those wet weather conditions.
Big hug from his dad.
Yeah, a sigh of relief as well by Marc Marquez. A test of concentration, a test of his brain power, a test of his skill, a test of his talent, and he had the answers for everything.
Enjoy watching this guy in action, because you are watching somebody so special. I know all the discussions we have about what happened 2 years ago and everything else. He is a very special MotoGP rider. That was brilliant. To put that last lap in those conditions, staggering. Danilo Petrucci, he's desperate, isn't he?
Well, I bet he's just absolutely shattered. Yeah. He's been well below that full physical fitness all weekend, and those races where it takes so much out of you mentally to keep your concentration and your focus. Great job as well by me.
Dovi won't be unhappy. Dovizioso, okay, he hasn't lost the lead in the World Championship, but it just made it even more exciting. But he's picked up a podium finish. The conditions were never going to be easy. They're already sorting out what happened. They're already thinking about Aragon, hopefully in very different weather conditions. Although we've had it wet in Aragon in the past, haven't we?
We have.
Over again.
Well, this is it now. It's a 5-round World Championship.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Maverick Vinales doing a pretty good damage limitation job. He is now, what, 16 points behind Dovizioso. Marquez not completely out of it.
Was it 13 points, was it?
Yeah, he lost
Dovizioso.
Yeah, he lost 3 points to Dovizioso.
So he's done a decent job there.
Yeah, not a total disaster.
So here we go. Dovizioso first on the podium. The crowd will like that. We'll get a big cheer.
They'll love this as well when Petrucci comes on the podium.
Danilo Petrucci on the podium with the Italian flag in second place. Now, what sort of reception is Marc Marquez going to get from the Italian crowd after his 4th win of the season? Listen out!
Do you know what? He will not care one bit.
Yeah,
that's just going to give him more motivation to try and win the World Championship. We don't really want to sort of hear scenes like that, to be honest.
I couldn't agree with you more,
pretty poor.
Because that was one hell of a ride by Marc Marquez. Well, Repsol Honda team win the team award. Equal on points in the World Riders' Championship. Dovizioso and Marquez, 199 each. Dovizioso getting a terrific reception from the crowd. 3rd place for Dovizioso. He's won the last 2 rounds. He's equal first in the World Championship. He would not have believed that at the start of the season in Qatar. President of Rimini making the presentation to Danilo Petrucci. What a ride by the Italian. Another 2nd place. That Grand Prix win is not far off. But it's his 4th win of the season. With a last lap you will never see the better of in the treacherous conditions. Perhaps not to the delight of the crowd. Marc Marquez wins here in Misano.
Well, the track may have dried out, but the fight at the top of the championship certainly hasn't, as Marc Marquez snatched victory from Danilo Petrucci in the dying moments of the race. It is game on in Aragon as Marc Marquez heads to his home race as joint leader in the title race with 3rd place finisher here in Misano, Andrea Dovizioso. And there we have it, confirmation of how it panned out in Misano race victory. Now, championship lead for Marc Marquez. Danilo Petrucci bullied there into 2nd place. Danilo Petrucci ahead of Andrea Dovizioso. Maverick Vinales, somewhat quiet race from him. Wildcard Michele Pirro in 5th. Jack Miller, Scott Redding, Alex Rins, Jonas Folger, Bradley Smith, Paul Espargaro, Alvaro Bautista, all safely coming home on their bikes in these tricky conditions. Cal Crutchlow, Danny Pedrosa, surprising end to his day, Johan Zarco, Laurie Spaz and Carol Abraham.